here with a really nice group. You know, a lot of guys I'm familiar with from my time coaching at Zamalek, but a nice blend of youth and experience. I expect this team to do well in this tournament.
Well, we must talk about the road to how these two teams book their tickets to the 2025 FIBA AfroBasket. The qualification system was a magnificent showcase. In the case of Egypt, they were in a very tough group, Group D, in which they had to go up against an undefeated Cote d'Ivoire. They finished with 3 victories and 3 defeats, but since then, like Mali, who had the same record in Group A, they had a very tough one. Then the Congo DR and South Sudan, who did qualify for the Olympics last summer. You know, now you've made it, now you got to make history.
Well, obviously, tough road for both of them. You know, in Mali's case, though, adding Omar Ballo to their group, his size and talent, I think, is a big injection for what they could potentially do here.
Well, we are going to introduce the key players of these two teams. And, you know, many of these players, you know, you talk about the two powerhouses of Egyptian basketball, Al Ahly and also your former club, Zamalek.
Yeah, it's a huge advantage for Egypt. So unlike a lot of these other countries, most of the Egyptian players stay and play in the Egyptian league. So they have a familiarity with each other. Most have played with each other at some point, and certainly have played against each other many times. So it's a chemistry that they bring into these tournaments that other national teams don't necessarily have.
Now, one of your former players is Zamalek, Anas Mahmoud, of course, former Louisville player. Well, I look at him and I think, you know what, he has got the talent to be a top 5 player here in the FIBA AfroBasket. But what was your take when coaching him?
Oh, I mean, tremendous athlete. What he can do at that size is really special. Great guy as well. Really enjoyed coaching him, and he's going to be a huge piece to their success here.
Speak about Mali in the previous game, and I think the thing about what Mali's getting its international recognition is the youth basketball. You regularly see them at under-19 FIBA Basketball World Cups. You know, in that 2019 FIBA Under-19 Basketball World Cup, they made it to the final, and they lost against the United States of America. Of course, in that game, it was very close. They were winning in the first quarter. They kept it to a 2-possession game, but it was that third quarter in which the USA ran away with it. But isn't it time now Mali makes a name for himself here in the FIBA AfroBasket? It's been since 1972 since they won the bronze medal. Now it's about making history, but fans, now we are going to stand for the national anthems of these two beautiful countries. The national anthems have been sung, and now both coaches shaking hands with each other, paying each other the respect and homage. But now we'll get set to introduce 3 very important people for tonight's game. I should say 4, actually, including our technical delegate, and those are also our 3 referees. Well, our 3 referees are coming from, of course, Rwanda, and of course the Central African Republic, as well as the Cote d'Ivoire. Well, we have Tonton Banza Kalume, we also have Jean Savoy, Ruhamed Mirza, and also Roberto Fernandez. Apologies, our 3rd referee indeed is coming from Colombia. Well, we are going to take a look at the starting lineups, and you know, Coach, when we look at Egypt, of course, Anas Mahmoud, no doubt he should be their go-to player in this tournament.
Well, you know, he brings a lot of things to the table. Obviously, his length and athleticism being first and foremost. So he can anchor your defense with his shot blocking and mobility. On the offensive end, you know, really look for Ahab Amin. He's been a go-to guy for them for a long time now. And then the veteran who never seems to age, but Amir Gendi, you know, lefty, crafty, always finds a way to score and has not slowed down over these years.
Well, we are indeed going to take a look at the starting lineups for Egypt soon, of course. But you know, I think what we did see in the qualifiers, you know, they play a very organized style of basketball. They like to get out and transition, but you know, very similar to what we saw to Senegal this morning, is that they do go for a lot of heavy three-point shooting, Coach. Yeah,
you know, it's always interesting to me to see the different styles that the regions of Africa bring with their national teams. So, you know, in the case of Egypt, really more similar to a European style of play. They're going to execute their sets, look for threes when possible.
Well, Coach Eldekeni, of course, coming into this tournament with high expectations and knowing he's up against a very, very good opponent. Well, now we'll turn our attentions to Mali now. Well, with Mali, as we mentioned, one of the key players, having played in France last season, is Haidara. Now, I think he is going to be one of the key leaders for this team, but you know, as mentioned with Mali, it is indeed about building that momentum on the floor. The very intensive defensively that we did see them in the qualifiers. You know, many people have looked at them with players such as Diarra and Sissoko. They should be a very, very exciting team to watch, Coach.
Well, you know, Diarra had a tremendous qualification. It'll be interesting to see how they incorporate Balo into what he already brought to the table. So will we see the Twin Towers at times? Are they going to steady feed Balo on the post? Should be an interesting matchup here tonight.
Well, there's head coach Alhaji Dicko, and of course, you know, he spent a lot of time with these players through their youth development program.
Yeah, tremendous job there. I mean, what they accomplished at the youth level, representing the continent on the world stage, is tremendous. And as you mentioned before, I think everybody has been waiting to see them make that same step forward with their men's team.
Well, 1972, it's a very, very long time since they stood on the podium of the FIBA AfroBasket. And right now here in Luanda, Angola as well, we also have the other games going. As we mentioned, Guinea playing South Sudan and Namibia. Yeah, this could very well be one of the most exciting tournaments of this magnificent competition.
Well, so many teams closely matched. I think today is going to be one of those examples. And in group play, every point matters. So, you know, you can see behind us, we've got Senegal and Uganda closely watching here in preparation. And even a team like Uganda, who just took a tough loss, still in position to move forward out of that group. So these games are all important. Every possession is important. And we'll see how these two compare today.
Well, let's go down to the benches to find out what Coach Dicko has to say to his players. We're now moments away from tip-off. I think that now actually we do have the starting lineup. So Zahran will be in the lineup, as you mentioned, with Habamin, one of the key players. So Nas Mahmoud, look out for him, the former Louisville player. And of course, I'll be interested to see how Ahmed Khalif, I mean, he is a force down low to be reckoned with. But you know, many would say he's undersized, but he possesses such a physical aspect to his game.
Well,
Haidara will be in the starting lineup. He is probably going to be the most experienced player for this Mali team. We saw Dramé, of course, one of the Dramé brothers within the lineup, and of course, one of them playing at Duquesne University. As we mentioned, many of these star players in this AfroBasket currently in the NCAA, not also playing at the elite level of pro basketball, but it's going to be very interesting to see how those blends, those style of basketball meet here. Remember, this is the second game of game day one, the opening game day of the 2025 FIBA AfroBasket. Mali now taking on Egypt. It is going to be an exciting showcase. Josh Bett alongside former FIBA AfroBasket championship coach Will Voigt. It's close, Coach. It's very close to call.
Well, I think it's interesting to start the game. You see Balo on the bench. So right away, You can see the coach wants to go with the experienced group who played during the qualifications. Diarra in particular had a lot of success there. You know, probably challenging for him to motivate, to maneuver with Ballo on the floor at the same time. So it'll be interesting to see how he manages the minutes between those two players.
Group D fixture, no doubt Senegal. We also have the Ugandan national team sitting behind us. They're watching this game closely. A very tough group, a very close one. But depending how this game goes, we'll see who's going to match up. Both teams, remember, will love to also play Uganda and Senegal. Well, the tip is up. Egypt getting first play, going right at the Malian defense. Well, getting an uncontested three-pointer to begin things, and that's way too easy, coach. Uncontested.
And that's what he can do. Perimeter shooter there. Obviously, you see the size, but that is his game.
Well, we don't want to get caught up too many wide open looks. Mali trying to get into a first offense. Drame now look for an ISO. Goes in. That's good defense. Goes out of bounds. Well, they're calling this back to Egypt, coach.
Yeah, I'm surprised there. But you see the athleticism on display early on. You know, it's kind of a clash of styles. Egypt able to execute offensively. They've got the bigs who can step out and shoot versus the length and athleticism of Mali.
Well, Lamine currently in the backcourt along with Bibo, because he plays for Al Ahly in the Egyptian League. Jami trying to put some pressure. Anas Mahmoud down the middle. Had a good look, but Khalif going for a tip-in. He goes out of bounds. Egypt's going to retain this with 12 seconds on the shot clock.
And that's where Anas is so good. If you can get him into those short roll opportunities, he's able to put the ball on the deck. Typically will finish at the rim there.
Because his height when he gets at the high post does make him quite tough to defend, but it's his mobility when he does put the ball in his hands. Well, good defense. Koulibaly causing lots of problems for Ehab, so Mali's going to get this one back.
Yeah, great pressure there. I mean, I've got to think that Amin is one of the highlighted players on their scouting report, so you see the pressure early on against him.
Mali trying to get into a half-court set. Well, I like his demeanor, of course. I like these sort of the tough mindset. You can definitely see that in his team when they go through their practice. I was watching their practice yesterday. I mean, they really, really train hard. The key thing for them is about implementing. Haidara now, wide open look. Offensive rebound for Mali. Well, they're going to battle all night. Second shot's no good, but still battling. Goes out of bounds. Mali will get it back. Is that going to be a tough test tonight for Egypt, preventing Mali with all the second chance points?
Well, certainly there. I think they might have gotten away with a foul. Looks like Beto got him on the arm there. But, you know, Egypt has the size. Unlike what we saw in the first game where Uganda really was kind of outsized there, Egypt has the size, just not the athleticism necessarily across the board.
Haidara getting inbounds. Diarra trying to go handoff with Canute. There's the lob. Here we go. Thought it was a lob, it was a jumper, but that's now the fourth offensive rebound. And Mali battling, but Egypt come up with it. Egyptians trying to make most of numbers. Anas finding Bibo. This is how the Egyptians like to play. Get into that half-court set. But Mali's defense can be very tough to handle. Seconds winding down. Egypt's got to make something happen. They have to go for a deep three. That's up, and that's a little too short. That's good defense by Mali.
Yeah, that's not the shot that Egypt's trying to get there. You can see the pressure of Mali bothering them a little bit. Be interesting to see how long they go with Gindi on the bench. You know, he's that firepower scorer that they like to bring coming off the bench into the game. If they continue to struggle offensively, maybe we'll see him earlier than normal.
Well, Jami just trying to match down the pressure, but so far the Egyptians trying to stand strong. Mali again, looking for that first field goal. Khalif coming up with the rebounds. Well, both teams trying to defend with principles. Haidara just almost coming up with the interception. Anas finds Bibo wide open. That's a good look from the perimeter. He buries this one. Second three for the Egyptians.
Oh, great pass there from Mahmoud. Not a lot of 7-footers can put it on the deck and find a kick out like that.
Well, Amin now left a contested. Can they make it three? It was a 3-on-2. They went for the perimeter shot. Mali's able to come up with this one. Just right now need that play to kind of build their confidence on the offensive end. Well, nice play. Diarra wide open, and that's much better. Points in the paint. Is this where Mali's going to have their bread and butter, Coach?
No, absolutely. I think their focus is going to be at the rim. How can they get there, whether pick and roll, transition, or offensive rebounds?
Califf setting a high screen. He now going underneath, fires a three, and make it number 3. Everything coming from the three-point line for the Egyptians.
Yeah, that's a mistake there. You don't want to go underneath a mean and pick and roll. That's what he does. Dynamic scorer, but shooting is his primary skill.
Idera pick and pop, and I like that move, Coach. I like that quick flash to the perimeter, but he's got to keep shooting that because they're going to need that tonight from him.
Yeah, he's got to do something that can bring the Egyptian bigs outside of the paint. So if he's able to knock down those shots, that'd be huge.
Johnny trying to play tight with a mean. Egypt so far converting 3 3-pointers. Nice little fake pass. Califf there now having 5 points. The first time Egypt have scored from within inside the rainbow. 9-point lead currently. He now fires a 3. They're trying to battle, but this time Egypt comes up with it. He trying to go the length of the floor, goes in, finishes under intense pressure. And Egypt coming up with a steal. Anas, kick out, 4-3, it's up. That time Diarra just coming back to help.
Yeah, Mali dodges a bullet there, sloppy outlet pass.
Oh, good defense by Califf. Can Egypt convert this into transition points? They have numbers. Goes in. What a block by Haidara. He's done that a few times in France, but can they capitalize? Now they draw the foul, so they go to the free throw line. And Mali's had some plays where, and I think a timeout is going to be called by Coach Dicko, but the tempo of this game has the ingredients to be a very exciting one.
Yeah, I think Mali's got to find a way to establish some sort of offensive identity. Is it the size and interior passing that they're going to go to, or is it the pick and roll game? They seem a little disjointed right now to start this game out.
Well, let's go down to Mali's bench to hear what Coach Dicko has to say.
Tous à droite, ne sautez pas en dessus les gars, ok? Mais encore une fois, il faut aller vite. Les ailiers, descendez jusqu'ici. Ils sont grands. Allez au cerceau, cherchez le deuxième ballon. C'est pas la fin du monde, on va remonter ça les gars. Ok? Maman, tu donnes la place à Snoopy. Ok? Let's go. Defense.
And that's a good timeout to make right there, because I think probably what he's trying to address to his players, listen, come out with a bit more insurgency, but also we need to be a little bit more clinical. We've got to be able to execute, but also perform. But Egypt's three-point shooting has started with this man, Califf. I think he also knows, listen, we cannot give them uncontested three-point looks.
Yeah, that's what Beto does. Despite the size, really a pick-and-pop player, so I think there needs to be a better awareness overall. Egypt's shooters getting off to a good start here.
Well, Diarra currently at the free throw line here for Mali. I guess I also, you watch the intensity of Mali, especially in the qualifiers. I mean, it's the kind of team I feel that would benefit, especially when they try to play a very high-tempo game, or also with inside the paint with second chance points. They should be getting to the free throw line a lot in this game.
Yeah, I think that needs to be their identity. Find a way to attack the rim, whether that's through transition, offensive rebounds, post feeds, but I think that's where their advantage lies. And it'll be interesting to see if things continue this way. Will they go with that twin tower lineup that we talked about earlier, bringing Ballo on the floor with Yala still there?
Diarra currently at the free throw line. Coach actually started his career in 2022 with the best team in Mali, Stade Malien. 2 times BAL, Basketball Africa League Defensive Player of the Year in 2023 and 2025. Also 2-time making the old BAL first team. So You know, he's got to be one of their key players to look out for, no doubt. Now Amin just trying to handle the pressure. Goes down the middle, a little float. That's tough, coach. I mean, what does Drame have to do better on defense? That's good defense, but better offense.
Oh, that's an incredible finish from Amin. But that is what he does. The guy is just a bucket getter. Can do it a lot of different ways. And if you're Mali, you hate to see him getting hot.
And that's great by Diarra, curling the off screen and just going right down the middle. And now the game slowly picking up a little bit more tempo. Well, Amin going for a deep three.
Yeah, Amin thinks he was fouled there. Him pulling from deep, though, is something they shouldn't be surprised to see. And you see this amazing floater, such good touch getting into the lane. He's got a great feel for the basket.
Well, that's great work by Diarra. But again, going back to Amin, you're right. I mean, he doesn't lack confidence. His confidence is terrifying when he has any open look from the perimeter.
Well, and you see Gendy now checking into the game. I think this is when Egypt's at its most dangerous. Now you've got both scorers on the floor at once. Either one of these guys can really get going.
Well, Diarra had a look. It's not his usual shot. Time winded down for Mali. Another little teardrop, but that's good defense by Egypt. Well, Egypt not getting many players ahead here. They do have a 10-point lead. Under 4 minutes to go here. Patiently trying to wind down. There's a penetration. A nice play in the paint. That time Mali protecting the rim well. This is where Mali want to play their style. Quick, but I'll go for a three in transition. Well, Mali's got to be careful they don't play too quick because Egypt can in their times play a very meticulous half-court play. Kala battling. Egypt get it back. Anas, high post, kicks out. Carlos made 1-3. And he'll make another one. 4-3 of the game so far here for Egypt.
Yeah, great start here from Egypt. You see Vito twice now finding the perimeter three. Something Mali's got to be aware of.
Of course, in that previous play, Mali did something probably they wouldn't be accustomed. That was giving away too many offensive boards. Haidara gets another good look. Penetration, that's much better, coach. A high percentage look for him.
Yeah, I like that offensive set. A little diagonal screen. Bring the screener off of a pick-the-picker play. I think they need to look to execute a little bit more.
This is good defense by Mali. How they know? Felt like they forced a turnover, but well, here's a look in the corner. I mean, it's good basketball. Anas just finding Garliff in the corner.
Yeah, it's not often you've got two 7-footers connecting on a play like that, but that's what Egypt can bring. Another shooting big now coming into the game. So Patrick Gardner, same thing. This is a guy that wants to shoot threes from the perimeter. Mali's got to be aware of these Egyptian bigs.
Well, Bono's just checked into the game, so he's going to match up with Gardner. Gardner, of course, half Egyptian, half American. His parents currently living in Long Island, New York, but sideline possession here to Egypt.
Well, this will be an interesting matchup. I'm curious if Anas will switch on to Ballo on the other end, probably a cross match here, but Ballo is going to be a load for either one of them. So if I'm Mali, I'm looking to get him the ball right away in the low block, see what Egypt's going to do defensively there. Are they going to draw a double team, maybe play off of him a little bit in the post?
Because if you are Haidara and you're being defended by Anas, is it a case to free up that space? Do you bring him away from the paint, trying to bring him to the perimeter to kind of give that room to Ballo inside the key?
Well, that's where I think that Egypt's going to change the matchup on the other end of the floor, with Anas staying on Ballo so he can stay near the rim. Gardner probably moving to Haidara, but we'll have to see.
Well, Shusha has also checked in for Egypt. Now, he's also a very lethal three-point shooter, and that's something this team is not going to lack here in the AfroBasket. Remember, they've already made 4 3-point field goals. Mali's got to be able to make those attempts of very low percentage looks. They're 4 out of 6. There's another kick out. Amin goes for another one. But again, they go for an offensive board. Shusha maybe just waiting for him to warm up a little bit before he attempts anything. That's a pump fake. That kicks out. Gendy will go for it. But Egypt, well, Amin goes in. Now, if you're his coach, that's a coach's dream. But if your coach did go, well, you must be infuriated.
Well, I think it's more that. Nobody checking him as he crashed from the top of the key.
Well, Ballo goes in, throws it down with two hands.
Now, maybe that's going to instill a little bit of life. Been surprised how flat Mali's been. They've got to use their athleticism to their advantage to have a chance in this game.
He makes a penetration, goes in, getting rejected by Haddada. Well, that's the rim protection they need. Now, can they push? Ballo again, defended by Anas. They'll try to go for the backdoor play, but beautifully read by Gardner. Egypt have not quite the numbers, but a foul has been committed. Because, you know, you go back to that previous block by Haddada. That's a case where, look, you've come up with a great defensive play. Now you got to convert this and play to your advantage. Play quick in transition.
Yeah, and you know, they went to the matchup that I thought they would. So they cross-matched it on the other end. They had Anas on Ballo to stay near the rim with Gardner out on the perimeter. So, you know, with Arabi now checking into the game, I would expect the same thing. They're going to want that defensive anchor down low as much as possible.
Well, Egypt, 5-time champions of the FIBA AfroBasket. But the last time they won, well, 1983. They made it to the final. Of course, in 2013, coming up very short. That was in Cote d'Ivoire and Abidjan. But, of course, I meant to ask you, what is that experience for you like as a coach when you were with Zamalek?
Oh, it was tremendous. You know, the fans in Egypt, extremely passionate. And, you know, for any American viewers out there, Zamalek and Ali are basically the Boston Red Sox and New York Yankees in terms of rivalry. So to be a part of that as a coach was a really fun experience for me.
Well, Ama Abdelhalim Gendy, also known as, now going to the free throw line. Because I like that play when you have those perimeter plays. You know, find a gap there, and they know the defender's chasing them. They just able to initiate that contact because they know either way, look, either I'm going to the free throw line or it's an and one.
Well, that's where Gendy is so crafty. You know, left-handed, great change of pace, and he gets into that mid-range area. He's so effective.
Well, he's one of their more experienced players. But missing both free throws. Ballo coming up with a rebound. Still a 10-point game, just over a minute to go here in the first quarter. Well, here's what they want. Ballo with a post up. Robbie puts his hand in the cookie jar, but that's going to remain Mali ball. Excuse me, that's going to remain Mali ball.
Yeah, and that's that same set that they ran earlier. So that wedge screen, they're trying to get the post down to the block. If they don't have that, the screener's going to come off of another screen up top. I thought that was a good set for them early on. Let's see if they continue to go to that.
Well, Robbie's a tough defender, but, you know, you're absolutely right. You want to get the ball to Ballo. Make him, you know, make the Egyptian defense collapse so you can free up more good looks on the perimeter, like.
Well, you know, he's one of their most talented players. Even though he's young, I think you got to see what he can bring to the table as a low post scorer.
Diarra pump fakes, gets it off in time. Another offensive rebound. Mali will get another look. Now, time given, they could potentially go 2 for 1. Diarra penetrates, bit of contact. Another offensive board, but good defense by Arabi.
Yeah, and that's where you see the size there. The Egyptian bigs, kind of a wall of defense. Arabi tough to finish over.
Well, setting that high pick and roll now with Gardner. Another uncontested three, this one's up. But Mali will have the final play. Togo trying to push this one. Well, a quick foul is going to be committed by Musa. That's not a bad foul to give away, Coach, because it doesn't put them at the free throw line, but just slows down anything. But again, if you're Mali, you would like to dribble that one down so you don't get even Egypt another chance.
Well, you know, Egypt more fouls to give here, so I would expect them to use them. You know, if Mali gets anywhere near the basket, probably looking to take a foul, kill some clock.
Here's the back to the basket play by Ballo. Arabi standing strong. Egypt have a little bit of time left. Gendy finds Musa. Has to put this one up, and that's not going to go. And at the end of the first quarter, here in the second game of game day 1 of the 2025 FIBA AfroBasket, Egypt Currently leading by 10 points against Mali, and as expected so far here in the first quarter, Coach?
Yeah, you know, I think Egypt's got to feel great about that quarter. They're able to execute their offense. Their bigs were able to step out, knock in some threes. I think for Mali, they've got to adjust. They looked a little surprised from the shooting of Egypt. They should know coming in that that's what they do.
Well, Egypt currently with a 10-point lead has been a good showcase so far from the perimeter, but I think one impressive thing we have seen from Mali, of course, is, you know, as we saw with Senegal earlier today, just that tenacity to really go for as many offensive rebounds. But, Coach, you and I both know Mali's got to be able to convert these second chance points.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You haven't seen Mali impose their will the way that we did with Senegal, but I think it's a similar style that they need to play to have success here.
Well, as mentioned, he just had some good looks on the perimeter. Amin's out of view, Khalif's out of view. The question is right now where I think Egypt's also, you know, shown where they can compete with Mali. Not so much in transition, but also paint protection. Defense inside the key, they've been very, very lethal as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, you can hear the coach from Egypt trying to rally his troops there. But, you know, that's what I like about this Egyptian team. I think they've got a lot of different pieces to it. So you've got the interior size, Arabi, Mahmoud, but you also have the shooting, right? Bidu, Gardner come into the game. They can show a lot of different looks and adjust to a lot of different styles of play. I think for Mali, they've got to up their ball pressure. They've got to let their athleticism shine a little bit more than they did in that first quarter.
Well, you just saw that QR code, and that's the QR code for Courtside 1891, the home of international basketball. This is the 2025 FIBA AfroBasket. Use that QR code and download Courtside 1891 today. Mali will get first possession, trailing by 10, and you know, how important are these first few minutes going to be for them in the second quarter?
I think extremely important. They really haven't found a rhythm in this game yet. Where can they go to for offense? We saw them go to Ballo towards the end of the quarter. Maybe they go back there again.
Sogo now looking for a post entry. That's penetration. So he gets it to the perimeter. It's on target, but unable to finish. But Mali getting another offensive board. That's much better. That's where second chance offensive rebounds are going to help this team get back in the game.
Well, and the possession started with a post touch to Ballo. The defense collapsed and he picked it out. I think that's the recipe going forward for Mali in their offense.
That was only their fourth offensive rebound of the game. Gardner left wide open. He'll fire a three. Egypt slightly cooling down from the perimeter. Ballo going for a seal-off, good hands, goes up, and now it's a 4-0 run. Positive start for Mali.
Yeah, and you see Ballo's impact on the game. Great seal in transition there. He's just so strong. Hard to uproot him once he gets deep post position.
Kendi going high, pick and roll with Gardner. This is good defense by Diarra. Kendi hesitates, tries a bump. Oh, Coach, Diarra, what else can he do in that scenario?
Well, there's the craftiness of Kendi on display. He's got it all. You know, the pump fakes, the step throughs, and I think the left-handed finishes sometimes throw defenders off.
It's that quick decision to go for that little jump hook as well, but here's the previous play by Mali. Nice little spin around. That's a good finish at the end by Tamajan. Sogo now working the screen. Just loses balance, but Ballo comes up with it. Now we're under 10 on the shot clock. Ballo inside the paint. Another offensive rebound. He's got confidence, bit of contact, no foul called. So Egypt want to run. Mike's got it, that's good defense. Well, kickball violation, so Mali, well, excuse me. Yeah, Mali will get it back.
Yeah, that's a great defensive play in transition there from Tamajan. Get his hand in to deflect that, force the turnover.
Almost 2 minutes played here in the second quarter. Group D fixture. We already saw Senegal with a big victory over Uganda earlier. Togo now using the screen. Finds Balo, goes in. Big man. Looking very dominant at the moment here for Mali.
Well, and this is the impact I thought he could have on this game. You know, came in maybe a little bit later than expected, but you can see they're playing through him in pick and roll and on post touches, and he's delivering so far.
You can see Coach Dicko of Mali trying to say to his players, get up in their faces, make it tough. Then he goes in and talk about tough. Well,
yeah, unbelievable. He's still doing it at this age, and that's going to be their MO. They're going to give Gedney the ball at the top, let him go and pick and roll. Same thing that they'll do when Amin comes into the game, rotating those scorers.
I mean, he has such a high basketball IQ because, you know, many players, when they get in the paint, they struggle here, but here's another look at Balo. Balo again. And maybe they've got to get the ball to him more, but going back to Gedney, and it's just a simple defensive play. He's doing it on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, great play there, anticipating the move and sliding out of the way to force the turnover.
Both teams 10 points inside the paint, and the difference indeed has been the three-point shoot. Now, Egypt has gone a little bit cold since making those early 4 three-pointers.
Well, the surprising thing is that Mali's still allowing their bigs to have pick and pop threes, so this is something they can go back to as much as they want.
Shusha goes in, gets denied, and now Mali wants to run. They have numbers. And that's what I'm talking about early, Coach. Just as we saw in the first quarter with the block from Haidara, they've got to be able to capitalize on a counterattack.
Yeah, absolutely. Finding ways into transition is going to be really important. They've struggled in their half court. Outside of Balo, not much going on there for them.
Balo comes up with the bull screen. Now they go to it again, goes in. Now he's got 8 points. Well, he sets those screens. He gets into good positions when he rolls, Coach.
Well, he's really found a nice rhythm with that pick and roll game. Arabi in a very deep drop. It's allowing the ball handlers to get downhill. Mali's found some success there. I would expect them to continue to go to that.
And he goes baseline. Checks out, finds Amin. Look at the three-pointer, number 5. Well, great work by Shusha, showing that hustle. Arabi comes up with another ball screen. Now finds the big man, but again, tough defense. He tried to commit the quick foul. Still no call. Well, he's getting very physical at the moments. Well, the penetration had numbers. Balo follows in, and Egypt survived. Gardner, no one running with him. Now tries to go himself, draws a foul. He'll go to the free throw line. Well, Coach Dicko, sorry to cut you off, but Coach Dicko right now feels that 2 fouls could have been called on that last play.
Well, I think he has an argument. There was a ton of contact leading up to that. Officials letting it go there.
Well, there's the block. Milwaukee committed the block. Now, interesting story about him. He was actually born in New York, but after a few years then moved to Mali with his parents, where he grew up. Both his parents are originally from Mali, but because he could be a very big impact player. Is now Gardner at the free throw line. Speaking of New York, as mentioned with Gardner, because he also grew up in New York.
Yeah, stayed close to home there, playing at Marist. Has gone on to have success in the G League and the ball as well.
Second free throw counted. 7-point lead to Egypt. Now we're under 6 minutes to go here in the second quarter. Well, Balo left wide open, doesn't take many threes. The coach is on target.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what Coach Dicko wants to see. They've been having a lot of success with him as a roller. I'm sure he'd like to go back to that high pick and roll set, not have him popping for 3 there.
He trying to work the ball screen. Finds Shusha. Final seconds, good defense. Now he comes up with it. Now can Mali capitalize? Togo's got the speed. Balo's got the seal off. Big man's got 8 points. That's a good turnaround. Mali trying to follow up, but again Mali battling, and this time they get the foul.
Well, you can see the difference in the second quarter versus the first. They're starting to impose their will near the rim. You know, Balo with some deep seals. They're hitting the offensive boards. They're forcing some turnovers. This is the style of play that Mali needs to play to have success.
Well, Mali currently 2 rebounds less than Egypt. Both teams do have 5 offensive rebounds, but as we alluded to earlier, that has got to be the area of strength. Second chance points, but they've got to convert them. Go for a step through, unable to finish. Robbie going to the ground. Now he just comes up with it. That's going to be a turnover, no foul call.
Wow, that's another great play from Konate in transition to not only stop the break, but force a turnover.
Jam will inbound this one. So fresh 14 as Anas comes back into the lineup here for Egypt. Gardner's going to take a little bit of a breather. He's played some good minutes so far. As you mentioned, time in the BAL, also with in the G League as well, but now it's the international stage. Now it's about representing your country. Nice finish. Well, Kevin unable to finish in the end, but Egypt trying to break. Egyptians loving this high pick and roll scenario. Then he goes in. Then a few tough finishes. Coach, I asked the question. Sometimes it looks impossible, but he's got no problem.
Well, you know what Mali has to do is get him on his right hand. So they're playing a drop coverage, but they're allowing him to come downhill with the left hand and the big back. If they want to keep the big back, they need to make him go right.
Was giving them a 9-point lead before 28 to go. Both teams have done a relatively great job at taking care of the basketball. Only 6 turnovers in total between them. Mali only has 2. Samajan, nice pull-up, but again unable to finish. 6th offensive rebound tonight for Mali. Winding down, they'll go for another 3. This one's up. But getting those good looks, just unable to capitalize.
Yeah, Ballo's starting to look a little fatigued here. Might see Diarra coming back in or somebody coming back in to give him a breather.
So here's going to be the tricky part, trying to make it tough here for Gendy. And they go under the screen, he'll fire a 3. Egypt haven't made a 3-pointer since the first quarter. Coming up with a loose ball. Ballo. Box goes in. Contact. Well, you mentioned being tired. I got to agree with you. But, Coach, he is unstoppable inside the paint.
Well, and what a pass there from the ground, finding Ballo down low. Incredible vision. Keeping this play alive. You got to love that right there.
The dime on the ground. Ballo now with 10 points. He's 5 out of 9 from the field. But they've got to find other players to get into the game. And, Coach, I got to tell you, they're getting good looks. They're 1 out of 7 from the 3-point line, but let's go down and listen to the Egyptians' timeout.
والناس تنزل كمان. الجارد زي ما عمرو بيقول لو لقى الراجل وصل هنا خلاص بقى حاول تروح تاخد الديفليكشن. انت ما عرفتش توقفه هنا اصلا. هناخد دبل هيد ايهاب تاني من هنا. ماشي بيبو الاولاني انس. اخدنا السليب موف من انس وايهاب خدنا ما خدناش. بيبو هتبوب اوت. بعد الدبل هيد انس هيمشي. بيبو لا انت الاولاني.
Coach, the question I got for you right now is for Mali, you got to learn how to defend this Egyptian pick and roll. You go underneath. Now, they haven't made their 5th 3-pointer since the first quarter, but if you're Mali offensively, what would you change in this sequence?
Well, I think they've found a rhythm now with the high pick and roll and Ballo as the roll man offensively. Defensively, really struggling guarding the pick and roll. So they've chose to stay in a drop with their big. If I'm Mali, I would start to be more aggressive, have their big get out and show a little bit more, try to make Amin and Gendy be passers instead of allowing them to come downhill.
Well, Sissoko has come back into the game, so Ballo's going to get a bit of a breather. Remember, as I mentioned, he's their leading scorer at 10 points. 7-point deficit, over 3.5 to go here in the second quarter. Amin just trying to deal with the pressure. Valley trying to. Oh my goodness! That's Louisville, baby, and that's Zamalek. Incredible.
Well, there's Anas Mahmoud on display. The athleticism, the length, but the pass as well with his weak hand. So Amin coming down, left hand, throwing it up there, and that's what Anas Mahmoud can do.
That is Air Anas. You throw the lob up. The big man, one-handed. Welcome to the FIBA AfroBasket. And he gets a response out of his coach.
Well, that's a great play. I mean, you can't say enough about the pass. To come downhill with the left hand, throw that up, that's an incredible play from Amin. But it just shows you what I was saying earlier. Mali is sitting back and letting the ball handlers get downhill and make plays. I think they've got to look to get the ball out of their hands early, make the wings of Egypt have to be the decision makers.
This is a worrying sign because Tamajan's going to go to the bench. Now, hopefully he's okay. Now, he's tough as nails. If you ever watched him play in the Canadian CBL, it takes a lot to get him to go to the ground, but hopefully we'll see him back in the game. But again, he is favoring that. I'm not sure if it was the ankle or the knee, but again, we're hoping to see him come back. The dribble handoff offense from Mali. Sissoko coming up for the screen. This is a better ball movement. Again, it results in a turnover. Now Egypt looking to extend. Anas finds Amin. Patient play by the Egyptians. Anas coming up for another high screen. Well, Amin pump fakes. Nowhere to go. Okay, good defense. It's a kick out. Now they go Rabibo in the corner for a three, but Coach, they've gone stone cold since making those 4 3-pointers.
Yeah, you see the Egyptian offense stalling out a little bit from the perimeter. Sometimes that's the drawback of when you've been ball dominant with Gindi and Amin. Those shooters now haven't touched it in a while.
Now, do you think it's fair to say Mali actually do get into very good half-court sets? We see the dribble handoff and culminates in a ball screen, but it's in the transition where they lack the organization.
Yeah, they've been unable to capitalize in transition so far.
It's another good look for the mid-range, but Egypt come up with it. Well, the patient play for Amin. Just right up there in the half court. Now wait, this is going to be with Genti. Well, Genti, excuse me. Genti going to his left. Now spins around, another little jump hook. And coach, that time he went right, and still they couldn't stop him.
I mean, you got to know the scouting report on Gindi. He's going to try to get to that left hand no matter what. If he's downhill, you just have to stay glued to it. Make him finish with the right over your bigs at the rim.
And that's great work by Kanute because, again, as we saw with Egypt's backcourt in the first half, he knew Bibu was on his back, and he just threw himself at him.
Yeah, smart play there from the point guard. But Mali, really no answer right now to the pick and roll game. Whether it's Gindi or Amin, these guys have pretty much done whatever they want on the court in this half.
One chance to go to the free throw line. Because she plays for a very big club in the second division of French professional basketball. Of course, played for Orléans Larrey Basket. Started with Sloop Nancy, so his experience. Also played in Turkey for a season. I really like the tempo he plays at. Very aggressive, very, very quick, but they need him to be that floor general and transition coach.
Well, you know, when Balo has come out of the game, they've struggled to find points. I think that's something Coach Dicko's going to have to address at halftime. Where can they go for scoring outside of Balo?
Still a 9-point deficit. Egypt so far control the tempo. Anas, nice dive. People kicks out. Got a bump, puts up a little circus shot. Again, tough play. Well, he had the three, and I thought he should have taken that one, but he can score in all sorts of ways against Mali.
Yeah, great finish there. You see the soft touch from Bido. Mali going with a little more aggressive pick and roll coverage there. Let's see if that's something they stick with.
Well, Johnny goes for a three. Now they're only 1 out of 8. Almost reaching the 1-minute mark. Relatively low scoring for these two teams, but Egypt, fair to say, do have the upper hand. They're in control at the moment. Amin trying to find separation. Now finds a mid-range. Well, Mali have numbers. Kanute goes for it. He'll fire a three. Only the second three of the game for Mali, and that cuts it down to 6. And a timeout is going to be called by Egypt. Could that propel them, build their identity? Because they've had good looks, coach. They just haven't been able to convert.
Well, big shot there from Kanute. One of the rare times they've been able to convert and transition. Mali really looking to finish this quarter on a strong note.
Well, we're going to go down to Egypt's bench. Let's see what Coach Aldekeni has to say. Well, again, welcome everybody. We're live here in the capital city of Angola, Luanda, for the 2025 FIBA AfroBasket. Of course, Angola, the winningest team in history. And you know what? I'm expecting this arena to be packed later on, Coach. It's going to be a hell of an atmosphere.
No, it's going to be rocking later on. The Angolan fans already starting to stream in a little bit, but this place will be jumping tonight.
It's been a very long time since Angola did win the FIBA AfroBasket, as it's also been for Egypt. 1983 was the last year, but Mali, 1972, the only time they ever stood on the podium of the AfroBasket. Well, Egypt just avoiding the 5-second violation, but in the end, they turn it over. Good defense by Kanute. Well, there's a lob, but unfortunately, Mali turned it over. Egypt have numbers. You can see Coach Aldekeni saying, slow it down. Almost 10 seconds difference between game and shot clock. Anas coming up for the high screen. Either trying to go handoff. Has to put up a circus shot. Well, was that a shot or was that a lob?
Definitely a shot, but Beto there to clean it up before the clock went off.
Well, Kanute, pump fakes, made his last three, makes another one. Well, and that is a strong way for Mali to end the first half. His second three, and only Mali's third of the game. That's almost Stephen Curry-esque.
Big time shot there. 2 huge threes from Kanute to finish out this half. And Mali's going to need somebody from the perimeter to support what Balo was doing on the inside.
Well, they've cut it down to 7. They've trailed by as many as 11, I believe. But the thing is, that should be something that propels them, because they've been heavily dependent on Balo inside the paint. But, you know, Egypt, very patient. Do they need to be a little bit more aggressive in transition, though?
Well, you know, Egypt's MO is to execute their offense in the half court. So, thought at times they got a little ball dominant with Gindi and Amin, but those guys were delivering, so I understand that. But what happens is now some of the other players haven't touched it, start to cool off a little bit. So typically you like to save that for the end of games.
Well, Egypt came out like a house on fire. They were 4 out of 6 from the three-point line, but they've gone 0 out of 9 since then. Of course, Mali hitting the last 2 3-pointers. The rebounds has been relatively equal between these two teams, but if you take away Egypt's start from the perimeter, this could be a very different game. But Kanute had 2 points, but since making those 2 3-point field goals, may have just changed the tempo. But now we're going to take a look at the highlights. Mali, of course, he's TJ. Now, he went down with an injury, so hopefully he's okay, and we're going to see him return to action. But Mali, what other areas do you feel that they have to work on, Coach, defensively?
Well, you know, I liked what they did on the last pick and roll with the big being more aggressive, edging out. I think that's something they have to do a lot more of, not allowing Gindi and Amin to feel comfortable on the perimeter, and of course finding a way to keep Gindi off of his left hand.
Here's the action from Balo inside the paint. He's the leading scorer with 10 points, but of course getting a bit of a respite after playing extensive minutes here in the first half. And if he's back in the game, Coach, you said it very well. They've got to keep going to that high pick and roll action with him.
Well, I would look for Coach Dicko to start him in the second half. So he brought Ballo off the bench. Because he did that, Ballo got fatigued towards the end of the second quarter. If he starts him, it'll allow him to get more minutes in that second half. And obviously, he's been a tremendous player for them in this game.
We saw a lot of play from captain Ibrahima Haidara at the beginning. He hit their first three-pointer. He's possibly, and most definitely, their most experienced player on this team. And, you know, this is the case. You got to see him a little bit more in the second half.
No, absolutely. Haidara's got to step up for them in the second half, provide some of that perimeter scoring that we talked that they lacked so far.
Coach Elder Kenny, one of the greatest in the history of Egyptian basketball, probably wants to see a little bit better, but it was the end of the first half. Kanute's final three-pointer, which did cut it down to a 7-point deficit. Well, basketball fans, it's halftime. Only the second game of the opening game day of the AfroBasket. We'll be back momentarily.
Let's get this party started. Oh my goodness sakes, that's a throwdown.
Goes in for the dunk.
Good night. Too big, too strong, and just too good.
Bogdanovic, who goes in and scores. Ah!
This is what it's all about.
It's all one big basketball family, folks.
Winning time.
Both teams over the limit.
You have got to be kidding me!
Well, Conte hanging on the rim and keeping the hopes alive.
Who's going to take the shot? It's going to go to Cougar. He's got the ball. Hayes, you got to box him out. Here goes Jimmy Jamrod by with a turnaround. And Jimmy Jamrod by experience, and he has been doing it all day long, folks.
Where did that come from?
Holy cow, what a pass and what a finish.
Gonzalez takes it away.
Oh, and he dunked it. And he looks at him.
Wow. He knew he was there, Jeff. Just waited for him and then crushed it through the hoop. Big time slam.
Like today, the opening day of the AfroBasket. The ball inbounded. Almeida put it on the highlight reel. Unbelievable. He inbounded the ball off the back of one of African basketball's greats, Carlos Moraes.
Mamadou Faye into Ibrahima Faye, goes up for the dunk. He doesn't make it. Quickly to Fofana. Go! Unbelievable. What a turnaround for the Elephants.
Incredible explosion of offense and defense from Les Elephants.
Conde behind the back pass to Conde, and the foul. Goodness me. Put it on the highlight reel.
Yeah, beautiful behind the back. That's where they want it, sideline.
It over, not what you want out of a timeout. Oh, you pass to Junior Madut. Look at this play, the pass and the flush to Madut.
Now Dwayne Dean goes behind his back. Entry pass again.
Holy cow. Incredible play by Ding. And the finish by Kuth. He's becoming a problem for Uganda.
Oh, goodness me!
Oh my God!
come from? The elevation. Let's see if that ignites Kenya. This is the dunk of the tournament. Oh my goodness.
That is unbelievable.
These guys will be legends in their own country, but also in the international basketball world forever.
Well, welcome back, everybody. We're live here in Angola for the 2025 FIBA AfroBasket, where currently Egypt have a 7-point lead against Mali here in the second game of game day 1. Josh Bett alongside former FIBA AfroBasket champion head coach Will Voigt. And Coach, as we look at these highlights right now from Balo, you said a very important thing at the end of the first half. You want to see him start in the second half.
Yeah, I think that's the move from Coach Dicko. He was really productive for them, then just kind of ran out of gas. He had gone a long stretch there. I think for them to get the most minutes out of him in this half, he's going to need to start for them.
Well, Haidara only played a few minutes in the second quarter, but that will be interesting. But, very good finish by Kanute at the end for Mali. But the Egyptians, I like their patient style of play. Everything is a high pick-and-roll screen, which has been working well with players such as Gandhi. But who do you expect to really step up for the Egyptians in the second half?
Well, I think Mali has to find a way to make somebody else beat them. So you got to know coming in that Gandhi and Amin are going to be the primary guys. Beto hit a couple of pop threes, but outside of that, right, the rest of the team hasn't done that much. So I would look to trap those guys more in the pick and roll, turn them into passers instead of scorers.
Well, the Egyptians definitely have size inside the paint with players such as Beto and Arabi, but as we've seen with your former player, Anas, when you were at Zamalek, sometimes I feel there's so much presence on him defensively that games like this, he may have a very quiet game because there's a lot of talent around him that can play well. But at some point, we're going to see Anas really go through that dominant stretch of play.
Well, you saw it with the lob. The length and athleticism is special, as athletic a player as there will be in this tournament. So he'll anchor that defense. But, offensively, it'd be interesting. If Mali does start to trap more, that gives him an opportunity as a short roll big. So he will need to step up if that's what Coach Dicko decides to do defensively in the second half.
Well, of course, we are live here in the beautiful city of Luanda, Angola. Remember, this country is the winningest country in the history of the FIBA AfroBasket. Let's talk about Mali, of course. Very long time since they stood on the podium of the AfroBasket, 1972. But, when they were struggling, I wouldn't say they were getting bad looks. They were getting good looks. They just weren't able to convert anything. But 3 out of 10 from the perimeter. Kanute getting the last 2 of the first half. Could this be something we see them go to in the second half?
Well, Egypt's going to pack the paint, right? They're going to keep their bigs back, try to make Mali beat them from the perimeter. So if Kanute can stay hot, Haidara can come in, knock shots down. Now it forces Egypt to come out and open that paint up for Balo and some of these other players.
Well, we're just over 3 minutes away from returning to action. And again, Vance, you are a big follower of international basketball and the FIBA AfroBasket, make sure you follow AfroBasket on X, Instagram, and all social media platforms to get all the best news, highlights, and content that matters to you most. Olamide Ballo, 5 out of 9 from the field, and quite interesting so far is, is he very much more a pick and roll kind of big, or is he the kind of big you can throw the ball in the paint and say, listen, back to the basket, go to work?
Well, I think he can do both. You know, he's such a big load down there. He's able to find deep post seals, even against the Egyptian bigs, was able to find some stuff close to the rim. So I would continue to explore that in the half court, as well as the high pick and roll with him as the roll man.
Well, Coach Eldekeni saw his team lead by as many as 11. They could have built an even bigger lead, but you know, the inspiration, the mental toughness of this Mali team just keeps battling back, and this is a tough group. We saw Senegal earlier today with an emphatic victory against Uganda. You know, a game that could have been very close going into the fourth quarter, but Senegal, with their experience and their, you know, their elite talent that they have, it was just too much to handle. And you got to wonder, who is going to be the heavy favorites to finish top of this group?
Well, you know, I think Egypt probably would argue that they would have a case, but I think, you know, Senegal, obviously what they did in the qualifications has got to come in as the favorite of that group. But anytime Egypt and Senegal go head to head, it's going to be a battle. So I think that's really going to be the premier matchup in this group to watch.
And as we look around this magnificent arena, you've coached in this arena, and later on it is going to be jam-packed. And you know, your experience coaching Angola right here, what can we expect?
Well, you know, I got goosebumps when I heard the anthem sung here for the first time. It's a tremendous home court advantage. You know, in my tenure here as the head coach, we never lost a game in Angola. So I think it's really going to help the national team and why I think they're the favorites to win it all this year.
Well, let's go down to Egypt's bench and hear what Coach Eldekeni has to say.
Je pense qu'on s'est tout dit dans les vestiaires. Les gars, le carton là, les deux cartons, c'est notre carton. Encore une fois, Allah kama problème Mumbola, aucun équilibre. Défendez 10 sur A. Autre chose, allez-y vite. Seconde chose, les rebonds offensifs, Allah kama youmine. Protégez bien vos ballons. Hein? Les 5 qui ont terminé, vous commencez. Les 5 qui ont terminé. On s'en pour la batterie? Mali.
Well, again, basketball fans, use that QR code and download Courtside 1891, the home of international basketball. Courtside 1891, get all the best streams, scores, and schedules that matter to you most, the home of international basketball. Well, both coaches getting some final words in with their players, and I really think these first early minutes are going to really dictate how this game is going to end up, Coach. What do you think? Well,
you know, 2 big threes from Kanuti there at the end of the second quarter. Is that something he can carry into this second half? Mali's going to have to find some kind of perimeter shooting here. And, you know, curious to see Ballo again starting on the bench here in the second half.
Mido and Amin in the backcourt for Egypt. Anas helping out. This is what Coach Dicko wants from his players from Mali. Heavy in-your-face man-to-man defense. Amin trying to handle the pressure. Working that ball screen with Anas. So there's the interception. Now we have a runway. Well, look out below. Diarra. Oh, the elevate time.
Well, that's the level of pressure you've got to see from Mali. Really climbing into Amin there. Great defensive possession to start this half.
Mali just trying to take this to Egypt. And again, hands in the passing lane. Drame. But Amin diving. That goes out of bounds. And that's going back to Mali. Well, it's that old cliche, Coach. Offense wins games. Defense may win you a FIBA AfroBasket.
Well, I love the intensity of Mali here to start this half. You know, their pressure really stepping up, guys diving on the floor. This is the right mentality coming out of the locker room.
That's potentially a two-possession ball game. The Egyptians right now just need to ride the storm and respond to this defensive pressure. Koulibaly working the backboard. Kanute. And now he plays for Laure. That's going to be a kickball violation. And a fresh 14 on the shot clock here for Mali. Here's what they want. Work that ball screen with Kanute. In the paint by Diarra. Gets bumped. Interesting to see Barlow didn't come out in the starting lineup tonight here in the second half. Egypt still looking for that first field goal. Either penetrates, goes in, gets rejected, and now Mali wants to run. Kanute, and, well, what a block by Amin.
What a great play there from Amin, running down for the block from behind, and especially Mali really starting to build some momentum with their ball pressure. Had they gotten another leak out from a turnover, probably would have seen a timeout here from Egypt.
Well, the Mali block was impressive, but Amin just calculates that one to perfection. Koulibaly, little teardrop, bank is open. Now it's a three-point game.
Yeah, the pick and roll really giving Egypt a lot of problems. Their bigs are going to stay back in a deep drop. And these guards starting to find a rhythm coming off those ball screens.
Oh, good defense. And that's going back to Mali yet again. Egypt right now need to find some composure. Well, here was the first block. That was great. But the second one, well, here's the play. Yep, here's the help side. Diarra with the denial. And the second one, well, how do you describe that one, Coach?
Oh, anything you can do, I can do better there from Amin.
Kanute, nice pass, down. Now they put it down to one and potentially could tie things up. Sissoko and Kanute right now. Well, he's making a name for himself.
Great pass there from Kanute. You see the drop off, and this high pick and roll giving Egypt a lot of problems. Potentially maybe Egypt should consider moving Honest to the 5. We're going to have more mobility, potentially coming in with Gardner as a 4. But with Beto on these deep drops, Mali's really found something here on offense.
And Coach, you know especially, a player like Kanute, he's playing at a high level. Loire, one of the top teams in the second division. They are always competing every year to get into the Pro A of France.
Yeah, and he's found a rhythm. You saw it with the threes at the end of the second quarter. Really feeling confident right now coming off these pick and rolls.
Well, I mean, hasn't made a 3 since the first quarter. Egypt, it's simply gone stone cold. Here's Kanute, down the middle, goes in. Nice block by Anas, and now Egypt can break. Well, look at the hustle. Mina's going to go in and finish this one. And that's their first field goal of the second half.
Well, that's a tremendous play from Bebo to keep that alive.
Well, both teams being aggressive. Again, Diarra. Well, he's finding some comfortable play inside the paint. May have taken a hit there, but both teams exchanging buckets.
Well, Egypt coming out with a lot of aggression here. I think this is how they needed to start the game as well. Their ball pressure feeding into the offensive end as well.
Anas just finding a bit of space, putting Egypt back up by 2. Definitely the emotion, the energy, the excitement of this game kicking into place. Kanute with Bebo on his back. There's baby! Bon nuit, good night from Mali. The elevation. I gotta see that one again. As they would say in Mali, incroyable, incredible.
Wow, what a pass here. You call that a Luka dribble there. So Luka Doncic, the king of putting that defender on his back and pick and roll. Kanute, great job there, and then delivers the magnificent pass.
Well, let's go down to Egypt's bench. This game coming to life.
وطلع وانا سيف زور
6:42 to go here in the third quarter. I mean, this looked like this game was going in one direction the first half. Egypt looked like they were wearing down Mali. But, Coach, I don't know what was said at halftime. But Coach Dicko of Mali, his players, they're looking organized, aggressive, and they're looking very hungry to win this one.
Well, I love the way they've come out to start this half. Aggressive ball pressure, making everything difficult for Egypt, and then capitalizing on the other end offensively with Kanouté and pick and roll.
The Mali fans right behind their bench. The Egyptian fans behind theirs. It's a great atmosphere here tonight in Luanda, Angola. Amin drawing the foul against Drame. Well, no easy buckets, and I think the Egyptians are going to ask, was that necessary?
Yeah, things getting a little chippy now as the game tightens up.
Well, Amin did take quite a hard hit to the head there, but I don't think they're going to review this whatsoever. But no, now you can see Coach Elder Kenny asking for a head coach's challenge. That's quite reckless. The thing is, I wouldn't say there's any ill intent in it, but unfortunately there's a few follow-throughs. Now, this is tough, Coach. This is tough.
Well, you know, Amin continues after the whistle, so I would like to see it just be a play on. Obviously, he takes the hit after, but I think if he stops with the initial whistle and then gets hit like that, then that is unsportsmanlike.
Well, no head coach's challenge. Play continues. Both teams locked in at 39 apiece. Amin working with Anas. A nice play here. Explosive play. Eagles made 2 threes. They got to force this one up. And the bank is open. The first 3 for Egypt since the first quarter.
Wow. Bit of luck there. But again, you've got to love Mali's ball pressure. Egypt struggling to get any kind of look off.
Now looking at this defense, Coach, where have Egypt changed at the moments?
Well, they came out in a 2-3, so it's probably an adjustment that Coach made in that timeout.
Kanouté, third 3. He is now cooking. Mali fans loving every moment, Coach.
Yeah, great response there from Kanouté. Really carrying those 3-pointers from the end of the second quarter into this second half. He's playing with a lot of confidence right now.
What's that phrase you said? Anything you can do, I can do better. And now locked in at 42. Of course, if you're a neutral fan, you want to see this go right down to the wire.
Yeah, absolutely. This game is starting to feel like it's going to be one that's going to be tight. Gendry coming into the game. Can Mali figure out a way to put him on his right hand?
Amin finds it open. Anas, little teardrop. Can't get it. Now Mali, a chance to take the lead. Hesitate coast to coast. Koulibaly simply unstoppable. The tempo is quick.
That's a great finish there from Koulibaly over the length of Mahmoud at the rim with the left hand.
Mali very much a different team here in the second half. Gendry feels some form of inspiration. Drame getting right up in his face, and that is going to be a turnover.
And there it is. Finally, they've climbed up in him, forced him to use his right hand, creating the turnover from that. They're going to need to do that more, not let Gendry get in any kind of rhythm here in the second half.
So Egypt had 4 turnovers at halftime, and Mali only had 2, but the thing is, Egypt looking very vulnerable, Coach.
Well, this ball pressure has really rattled them. You see them back in the zone here.
Well, they're in that zone. Diarra flashes high post. That's way off the mark. Egypt trying to level things up. Amin kicks out the Shusha. Bumps goes in, tries to find Anas. Time winded down. Shusha goes to the bucket. Foul's going to be called, and that's a very intelligent play because he'll go to the free throw line.
Yeah, just need to be a little bit smarter on that closeout. Shusha loves to attack closeouts from the wing position. I think sometimes when you get dialed up with all this pressure, it can be hard to know who you're closing out to. Just a little overly aggressive there from Mali.
Well, a chance to level things up here from the free throw line. Just what is interesting about these two teams? It's only Egypt's 5th free throw of the night, and they've only made 1. They're 1 out of 5, Coach.
Yeah, really struggling from the line here.
Second one's good. Still Mali lead by 1. Always the talk about Mali basketball. The youth team's always elite. But now it's time at the men's level. Diarra inside the paint. Lucy had the 3. Finds Drame. He'll fire a 3. Well, Coach, you got no problems with that offense. A good look.
Yeah, it's a great possession. I really like how Mali's moving the ball, playing inside out, created a great look from 3 there.
Honest can't give them a 1-point lead. Go for ISO. Goes in. Count it. Big man. Well, that's what I said to you when I first saw him play for Zamalek in 2022 when you were coaching him. He possesses the tools that many players at his height don't have. He can put the ball on the floor. He's got a mid-range. Sometimes I personally feel he doesn't take the game over enough himself.
Yeah, I mean, the talent is there. You see it on display. His ability to handle at that size and his mobility makes him really special. Been kind of quiet so far in this game. Be interesting to see if maybe they go through him as a pressure release with Mali really climbing into their guards right now.
And going back to what I was saying, I'm not trying to say he's a casual player. It's just a lot of teams have him on their scouting report, so they sometimes defend him where possession needs to be given up, of course.
Yeah, you know, I mean, sometimes that's the burden of having so much talent. You know, a lot is expected of him.
A nice little high post entry, and it's that simple. Mali's figuring out how to break down the zone. Now the lead just keeps going back and forth. Diarra, the captain, back in the game, showing the defense, almost forcing a turnover. Well, Amin left wide open. Can he make it? And again, just responding. Second 3 of the second half here for Egypt.
Yeah, unlucky break there on the guard to guard with the switching.
On Koulibaly, alley-oop time. Again, just a little too high. And right idea, but Coach, I don't think Vince Carter could have caught that one.
But I like it. I like the idea. I think it's the right idea to continue to attack the rim. They found lobs previous to that, and against the zone, right? It's about finding these gaps that you can get downhill.
So 38.2. Does Egypt have enough time to go 2 for 1, or is it a little bit too close?
Oh, it's still much too early to be thinking about that.
Correction, there was a mistake on them. My apologies. It's now we're under 3 minutes, the official time here in the second quarter. Egypt lead by 2 points. Shushin goes in, and one more denial. Diarra just said, "Pas chez moi," not in my house.
But I like the adjustment that they've made. So they've gone from the drop to now an aggressive switch. And again, it's forcing the ball handlers of Egypt to be a little hesitant coming off these screens.
That's good rim protection by Diarra. 0.8 of a second left here on the shot clock. Legal inbound, so no time to dribble. You got to catch it, you got to shoot. Gardner coming into the game for the Egyptians. Also Mali.
You got to watch the lob here. You know, I would watch for Mahmoud on a screen and then rolling to the basket. Amin potentially just throwing it up there for a lob.
The officials just trying to double check how much time should be on the shot clock. I think it is 0.8 of a second, but well, great atmosphere so far. We got Mali fans on both sides of the floor, behind the bench, behind us. Also Egyptian fans waving the flag.
Yeah, the energy in the building starting to pick up. Probably see some Angolan fans starting to stream in here towards the fourth quarter, and looks like they're going to catch a great game.
Well, here's a replay. So how much time is on the shot clock? That's the question. Here's where it goes out of bounds. So that actually might be more than 0.8.
Yeah, it looks like it would be.
Which does make things slightly easier now. 1.2 is on. Amin inbounding. Trying to find Kendi. Has to go for a quick step back fadeaway. Mali down by 2, they have numbers. Alley-oop time, and again, just a little bit too much.
Yeah, they've got to capitalize there. 3-on-1 fast break. That time, not a huge fan of that one. Jame much too hard and high on his lob. Could use something simple there with that kind of number advantage in transition.
Well, if the fourth quarter ends up being anything like it's been so far here in the third, this indeed will go down to the final moments. Means done an excellent job of containing or dealing with the pressure from Mali's backcourt. Nice kick down, Gardner, well. Not too often you do see that. May have just slipped out of his hands, but coach, I'm trying to figure out, is it a double dribble or a traveling violation? Coach, referee's gone with the travel.
Yeah, that's the travel there, the ball slipping out of his hands. But again, the pressure, just throwing everybody a little bit out of rhythm. Great job of Mali, once again, forcing the turnover.
Egypt remaining in the zone. Hadara flashes high post, a little too much.
So Mali's getting that high post flash, but you'd like to see the flasher then look to pass. I think Egypt's going to live with that mid-range pull-up that Diarra took there.
Kendi may have got away with a carry, still keeps it alive. Good hands by Hadara. Anas comes up with it. Another 3 for Egypt. And make it number 3 here in the second half. Well, that extends it to a 5-point lead.
Huge shot from Amin, and even then, really struggling to find a rhythm offensively as a team, but the ball luckily ends up in his hands and he delivers.
Well, Drame looking to attack, finds Hadara. He's made 1 3 tonight. Maybe going in for an offensive rebound. And coach, we still haven't seen Balo yet.
Yeah, really curious. After the first half he had, I thought he'd be a prominent feature here in the second half.
Well, Amin's made 2 so far. Well, no foul's going to be called. It's going to be an out-of-bounds violation. So a substitution coming in for Mali. So re-entering play at the moment is Diarra. And Amin will go to the bench. And there was a 3 in the corner. Good work by Anas finding him. Well, here he comes. The big man's coming in with 1:07 to go here in the third. Now, he's turned around and looked at Coach Dicko to say something there. I don't know what it was.
Well, I'm sure he's not happy about sitting this long in the third quarter, but he's got to let his game do the talking now.
Just to see, he'll play the low block on this zone defense. Diarra at the high post. Now pulls off in the mid-range.
Yeah, those mid-range shots, Egypt's going to let Mali take those all game. I think they've got to look for high lows out of that middle flash. Otherwise, maybe switch it to screening up at the top of that zone.
There's a kick out. Gendy now finding some space. Throwing sand drop and doing what? Coach, we got to call that the Gendy move.
Well, anybody that knows African basketball knows that he's going to try to finish with the left hand. You know, in this case on the closeout, allowing him to get downhill going left. Got to make that adjustment if you're Mali.
I mean, that is his go-to, and that's the kind of move you see young players. 14, 15, 16-year-olds always go for, and coaches say, hey, something different now, mix it up, and that's him, that's his trademark.
Well, you know, you look at Gendy, and I promise you, he looked the same way 15 years ago. So I can remember as a coach thinking, this guy's not going to be that good, and then he comes out and drops 20 on you. So anybody who's coached against him knows the player he is. His touch is unbelievable. He knows how to get to his spots, and he's really hurt Mali today with that left hand.
Well, Egypt restoring a 7-point cushion against Mali. His zone defense now disrupting Mali's offense. Drame got it by Gardner. Well, Gardner, good defense. Egypt come up with it. Well, they have numbers, but he's just slowing it down. Gendy got it by Hadara. Well, Gendy step through your step. Are you kidding me? The Gendy show. At the end of the third quarter, Gendy taking this game over single-handedly.
Yeah, he starts with the great block there. And then And then Gendy doing Gendy things. You see Anas smiling at the end of that clip. He knows what Gendy can do. And, you know, a huge run there from Egypt to pull away right at the end of that quarter.
Well, 9-point lead. We're going to take a look at some of the key highlights and some of the stats here. But the Egyptians restoring a bit of order. Mali, though, have one more quarter to go. But, well, Mali only one three-pointer in that. But let's listen now to Coach Elder Kenny. Well, let's take a look at some of the key highlights here from the third quarter. Coach, Mali came out much better, and it all started with the defense. Everything was predicated down, forcing turnovers. But Egypt, was it when they transitioned into that zone defense that they took the game back in their own hands?
Yeah, I think it was a great move by Coach Al-Qardani to switch to the zone. Took Mali out of their rhythm a little bit, and it affected how they were defending. Some of that ball pressure we were seeing early in the quarter, they got away from towards the end, and then Egypt was able to find some open looks.
And here was the moment, the backboard three-pointer. That kind of changed momentum because Egypt hadn't made a three-pointer since they went 4 out of 6 from the perimeter. They went, 9 three-pointers, cold in the second quarter. I feel like offensively, it kind of kick-started a bit of momentum into their game.
Well, early on in this half, Egypt really struggling to come up with any clean look whatsoever. So I think when they went to that zone, Mali lost some of the steam they had with the pressure, and then now Egypt was able to go down, start to execute their offense, and then, of course, Gendy able to deliver with the left hand once again.
Well, you just saw that QR code in the bottom left corner, the QR code for Courtside 1891, the home of international basketball, where you can get all the best stream schedules live. The home of international basketball, Courtside 1891. Download it today. Egypt again, remaining in the zone. Now Drame at the high post. Flashes high, but Coach that time not kicking it out to anybody. But I think Egypt happy to let them take those mid-range looks.
Yeah, I mean, Mali is taking the bait every time in this zone. Egypt wants them to take that mid-range shot. They'll give it to them all game.
12-point lead. Gardner buries the three-pointer, and Egypt in total control.
And you see Egypt back in that zone. Mali's going to have to come up with a new way of attacking it. The middle flash not working for them.
Well, Diarra finding Togo. They've got to find something here. Drame contested three is up. No good. Egypt happy to slow down the pace. Well, Anas left wide open, goes it. Oh my goodness! Are you kidding me? Anas just served up a big time dunk.
Yeah, and that's what he can do. Great roll, great finish, and the athleticism on display.
Alvaro getting his first field goal of the second half, and that's where they probably missed him. Midway to the end of the third quarter, Coach.
And that's how they need to attack this zone. So now you see the flash guy looking for a high-low pass rather than shooting it from mid-range.
Wilson kicks out, finds Gendy. He'll fire a three. Good look, but unable to finish. Only 12 points separates. Mali Kanzi go down to Balo. Haidara's made 1 3. Corner. Oh, battling for the offensive board, but inadvertently tipping it to Shusha. I like that offense, though, Coach.
Yeah, again, playing inside and then able to kick it back out. I think that's got to be their mentality, not settling for the mid-range jump shot.
The foul is going to be called against Drame. And again, going back to the offense, they missed a three-pointer, but as you said, different than going to the high post, going for the bait, as you mentioned. Inside, make the defense collapse. I mean, if it's a wide-open look, you can't argue, but there you can see Anas. I mean, that's tough. That is tough.
Yeah, that's a frightening sight if you're the big and you've got Anas Mahmoud rolling down to the rim on you.
How many times did you see that in practice when you coached Zamalek?
Well, it was a blessing. You take his athleticism for granted when you see it every day.
Taruti trying to chase. Musa had the three. good ball movement now. Shusha through the corner, a little too short. Offensive rebound for Egypt. Gandhi working off a double screen. Gandhi going for a mid-range. And now Haidara comes up with it. Well, Gandhi, surely, yeah.
Yeah, a little late whistle there. I was almost wondering to see if he was going to give it to him, but Gandhi obviously trying to stop the fast break there.
Well, Mali has 7 minutes and under 30 seconds. Only trailing by 12. Haidara had the 3 double cross. Now fighting on the ground. Musa comes up with it. Now a foul is going to be called here, I believe, not a jump ball.
Yeah, good call there. I think that's the right call. Great job of getting on the floor here.
Comes from the side, of course, inadvertently, so that's why the call has been justified.
Well, and Mali really, outside of the one high-low possession, has not found an answer for that zone. I think they can explore that more, getting the big ceiling down low against the wing and trying to find post touches that way.
Well, Musa went for the three-pointer. Now Mali yet again. Need to find some rhythm. Haidara goes to Drames. Good ball movement, excuse me. Just made 3 threes. Almost got that one. Coach Eldekeni was very impressed with his players' response, building that 9-point lead at the end of the third quarter. It isn't enough at this stage with over 6.5 to go in the fourth and final. And he felt he got fouled. Turns it over. Canuti comes up. Canuti now finished. Oh no, misses. But the follow-up is good. And now it's a 10-point lead.
Yeah, and you want to see more than one Egyptian player sprinting back. You can see Gardner's frustration there that he was the only defender hustling back.
Egypt needs to get things under control. And now feeling things are not going their way, but this is good defense from Mali. Musa down the middle. Gardner made his last 3. Well, Gardner's got to be careful, coach. He went down a little too easy there.
Yeah, I think that definitely could have been a flop.
Balo with a seal-off, goes in, throws it down. And Big Balo now making it an 8-point deficit.
And that's what he can do. You know, even against the bigs of Egypt, he's able to seal, get right at the rim.
Oh,
and
good
another
hands.
turnover here from Mali.
Here we go. Well, he could have thrown that one off the backboard. He could have. You know what? He did the right thing and cut it down to 6. A 6-0 run at the moment from Mali.
Well, and the pressure starting to turn back up here from Mali. They've got to be able to sustain this over the final 5 minutes.
Well, it could be another turnover. Neto comes up with it. Kicks out. Shusha, can he make it? Wide open. And great work by Balo. And again, Mali come up with it. It's a 2-on-1. Hot pass. Pump fakes. Goes in. And now indeed, it's a 2-possession ball game. Mali have found a way back. Well, you've got to love the FIBA AfroBasket. You were a champion. You've got to love the emotion and the energy of this competition, Coach.
Well, great response here from Mali. Again, turning up their defense to create the offense. And you see Balo down low there. That's what he brings to this team. Those deep seals give them easy baskets. I think they can find that against the zone as well. But in the half court, they have to come up with something. So it can't all be transition. How are they going to score against this Egyptian zone?
Well, let's listen now to Coach Eldekeni. Well, now you look at the rebound count of these two teams, of course, and, you know, I would have thought coming into this game, Mali were going to dominate the rebound count especially. But, you know, Egypt, with their size, they've done that very, very well. But where do you think it's gone wrong for Egypt in these last few moments, Coach?
Well, I think it's handling the ball pressure of Mali. So every time Mali's been able to turn it up it's led to forced shots or turnovers, and then now they can get it into their transition game. When Egypt's been able to stay calm, execute their offense, and then set their defense, more importantly, that's when they've had their success.
8-0 run from Mali. Under halfway to go. Egypt still have the upper hand. I mean, back in the lineup here for the Egyptians. Anas as well. Gendy working the high screen of Beto. Drame working hard. Anas tries to go behind the back, and it's another turnover. Coach Eldekeni infuriated. There's a kick out. Haidara, 1-3. Almost got it. Well, Kanute trying to dish off the follow, and another turnover.
Yeah, I like the penetration, just the wrong decision on the delivery. But a great look from three. Haidara, will take that shot any day.
Well, here's where Gendy's got to work his magic. No foul call, good hands. Or Drame. Now Coach Eldekeni infuriated. That still remains Egypt ball with 3.8 left, Coach.
Well, great stock behind from Drame, not to give up on the play, but again, Gendy going to that left hand. Let's see if they go back to the aggressive switching we saw earlier in the quarter.
Not a lot of time left. Got to shoot this one. Anas, fadeaway, 3, almost got it. Well, Bibo battles, and Egypt will get it back.
Those are the possessions you have to have if you're Mali. Excellent job of Bibo crashing. Mali needs to come up with that rebound.
I mean, it's the case. You know you're not going to get the offensive rebound, but just by battling, competing, as you said, those possessions, you give yourself collectively another chance. Trying to find a mean on a handoff. Kanute going underneath the screen defensively. Not quite something you want to do against Amin. Amin, little teardrop. And it rolls its way in and out. Kanute's come up with it. Well, there's a foul. Now, will this be a shooting foul? That's the question.
Well, I think they got it. Yeah, I was going to say, what a smart play from Kanute. It's really hard to time the shooting motion when you know they're going to give a foul, and I think he does it perfectly here.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
Yeah, that's just a really smart play.
Now, Egypt's head coach is calling for a head coach's challenge, but, Coach, we saw the replay. I mean, this is what Nikola Jokic does in the NBA, and the only time he's ever made an and-one was at the 2022 FIBA AfroBasket, but he got that off in air in time, I believe.
No, it's a brilliant play from Kanute. You see Chris Paul in the NBA also does the same thing. He knows they're looking to take the foul in transition to stop the fast break, and he times it perfectly. You can see he's already picked the ball up into a shooting motion before the contact. It's just a brilliant play from Kanute here.
Well, the referee's just having a calm word with Coach Eldekeni. Now he is going to call for the head coach's challenge. Well, I don't think he's going to get it maybe, but Mali have a chance to cut this down to a one-point ball game. The Malian fans, well, they've been terrific. They are absolutely loving this occasion. Even when they were trailing, they've been going nonstop. The Egyptian fans as well. Maybe slightly a little bit more anxiety though for them.
Well, it's interesting, Coach El Kardani wanted to get his argument in first and ran out of time before he went with the actual challenge. So he'd already shot the first free throw at that point. No opportunity to challenge, but I think he might have been saved. I think that was the correct call, and just a great play from Kanute.
Makes all three of them. It's an 11-0 Mali run with now 3:41 left. For Egypt, it's Operation Hang On. They've got to get a good offense. Amin finds an opening. Balo comes over for the help side. Oh, nice dime. Double pump fake, and there's the foul. So, well, He'd almost lost his jersey on that play.
Yeah, great patience from Amin, drawing the defense and finding the drop-off here to Vito.
That's a good foul, though,
Well, especially the way Egypt has shot from the free throw line in this game. So you certainly want to make him earn it from the free throw line.
What makes this one? That's only the third free throw of the game made for the Egyptians. They've shot 3 out of 8 tonight, which I find quite amazing. Not the misses, of course, the attempts. Now that's going to be a 3-point play, I believe.
Yeah, that should be 2 points on the tip in. You can see them signaling from the bench, and that would be correct. That definitely needs to be 2.
Well, Coach Elderkenny's asking the question. Now the officials are coming together. Because Hydera tried to tip it out. I think inadvertently he tipped it in.
Yeah, it is definitely 2 points. If they don't award it, I think Coach Cardini has to use his challenge here.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, it's absolutely 2 points.
Well, 3:26 to go. We'll find out. I think they are indeed. Now, is it possible the officials are quite unsure because of what happened, and maybe a consultant maybe to say, do you want to use a head coach challenge, perhaps?
Well, if I'm Coach El Cardini, I'd be upset. And, you know, I think the officials need to be able to see this on their own. He wants them to go to the monitor on their own. I can understand not wanting to use his challenge here because really the officials should have seen this.
I think he is now called for the head coach's challenge. You see on the other end, Coach Ditko waving his finger to say, nope, it's 1 point. We still don't know what decision has been made here.
I think the officials have to decide, are we going to challenge this? If not, we got to move on. So the stoppage of play here a little bit long as they discuss what to do.
I don't think the 2 points have counted, Coach. And now it's Egypt ball.
I do not understand that, how it could be Egypt's ball.
Well, 3-point lead to the Egyptians. And now they get possession back with under 3.5. A chance to build here. I mean, step back 3. Big time play. Now making it a 6-point cushion.
Wow, what a turn of events if you're Mali.
Kanute's got to make this one. Can't get it. Mali comes up with it. Adara's wide open. There's a penetration by Drame. Tried to kick out, turned it over. And now here comes Amin. And that's going to be a turnover. Kendi stepping out of bounds. Still time left in the game for Mali.
Well, I would love to get an explanation on how that ended up Egypt's ball. No coach's challenge. Perhaps the inbounder had stepped on the line. Maybe that was something that we had missed. But interesting turn of events here late in the game.
That's going to be a big question for sure. But now Egypt going into the 2-3 zone. This is what caused Mali problems. Balo, top pass Kanute. He got away with a walk, but there's another 3 by Mali. This one's up on target, but no good. Egypt have got to play this game into their hands. They lead by 6.
Well, Mali, you know, plenty of time to be patient. Don't necessarily need the 3s right now. They've had success with Balo on the interior.
Final seconds here. Amin's got to put up a deep one. Anas getting the board, and now it's an 8-point lead. And the timeout, I believe, is going to be called by Mali. Coach Ditko got his team within 1 point on that impressive 11-0 run. But now Egypt restoring a bit of order. That leg, Coach, that is tough to defend.
And that's it, right? So they get Mali caught on a switch. Kanute, really not much he can do there against Anas's length, and a huge offensive rebound putback late in the game here.
And you know, if Egypt are to win this game, Coach, of course, look, the fact that a team goes on an 11-0 run when you are leading by 12 points and you were able to respond under pressure, it says a lot about you as a team.
No, absolutely. You know, it's been a back and forth game. You know, every time I think maybe Mali is done, they respond, bring a lot of ball pressure, force some turnovers. Obviously, you know, the clock is not their friend right now, but they're going to have to come out here, really pressure the ball, see if they can create some transition opportunities over the last couple minutes.
Now, again, picture yourself. Your time with Nigeria, Angola. If you're in Mali's shoes right now, you're coming out of this timeout, not a lot, 2:12 left, down by 8. What's going to be the first set you would personally go for?
You know, I don't think they need a 3 necessarily, so it's got to be something quick. You know, Balo's had success on the interior. I'd like to get him a touch. If they collapse on him, okay, he can kick it out. But something quick on the inside and then allowing your defense to set. I think they're going to score more out of their full court pressure than anything that they're running in the half court.
Well, the zone defense from the Egyptians. There's the dunk by Anas. That's like a thunder flush, if you like.
Well, the highlight reel of Anas Mahmoud, you see the athleticism on display there. That's what he can do.
Well, for Mali's confidence, something good from this offense is needed. Jame in the backcourt along with Karute. Sending Jame to the baseline. Malo has the post up. Now they get the ball to him. Jame's got to make this one. It's up. No good. Unfortunately, Egypt will get it back.
And a great wrinkle from Coach El Cardini. He showed the zone coming out of the timeout, and then after the first pass, they matched up man-to-man. Really took Mali out of the rhythm of whatever they wanted to run.
Coach, in your opinion, you know, who do you think, apart from your former player, Anas, who's been one of the most impressive players for Egypt in this game?
Well, you know, I think Gindi and Amin have done their thing. So both in different ways and at different times, but when the game is on the line, the ball is going to be in one of those two players' hands. They've been able to deliver enough to give Egypt this lead.
And I agree with you on Getty, but you know, Amin, for me, he has been able to deal with this relentless man-to-man defense he's been getting from either Karute or Drame, a very composed, experienced point guard.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think Beto too, you know, really has given them some quality minutes. Obviously, the three-point shooting a huge bonus, but he's played within himself the whole game.
Drame again, trying to work with Gendy. Gendy hangs, finds Amin. He's hit a few tonight. Not going to get that one. 126. Mali down by 8. But you see Coach El Dekeni signaling one. I don't know if that means go to a man-to-man matchup, but
I think the one could mean matching up after one pass. So I would expect them to go back to the same defense. We'll have to see what they do here. Looks like maybe they're extending to a man-to-man.
Of course, another question you got to ask is in the third quarter, had Balo not sit on the bench? He came in with just over a minute to go. Would this have been, well, maybe not. They did go on the run in the fourth quarter with the 11-0 run that almost got him back in it, but some interesting rotations tonight from Mali.
Yeah, you know, I was really surprised at that decision. He's been effective when he's been in the game. But, you know, Coach Ditko, as you said, they were able to make the run with him out. I think that's probably why that rest extended through the third quarter, just because that group was starting to come back into the game. But it's presented an interesting challenge, you know, where he's played the entire fourth quarter, and I think now does the fatigue set in.
I think we're ready. We just had a few technical issues we were just trying to resolve, but 1:27 to go.
Well, interesting here that they don't advance the ball. I would have expected Mali to advance, try to save a little bit of time.
Well, there's a three, and that was on target, but unable to finish. Egypt happy to wind down the clock.
And I think Mali's got to be aggressive here, see if they can force a turnover without fouling.
You have to love it. You know, you alluded to it earlier. When Egypt play against Senegal, you know, there's such great history, such a great rivalry between those two countries. And, you know, I think there are a lot of similarities, a lot of differences between the AfroBasket countries from the north, the west, the east. But You know, Mali could have had this game in their hands. They were very good at the beginning of the third quarter. That unbelievable run they had here in the fourth quarter. But, you know, Egypt, maybe it's the continuity of these players of being together so long that's the difference.
Well, you know, I think Mali really stumbled on to a recipe of success with the ball pressure. Just had a hard time sustaining it, and then a really great move from Egypt and going to the zone. So I think it changed the rhythm of the game and has helped Egypt come back out with the lead.
Malo getting a post entry. Foul has been called, so it goes to the free throw line. The Egyptians want a travel call, but that is going to be 2 free throws.
And again, you see Ballo able to get these deep seals. It's something he's done all game. You know, I wish I had seen Mali looking to that more when the zone came, finding ways to find post touches rather than living with the free throw jump shots they were taking.
Well, a timeout is going to be called by Coach Ditko. 54.4. We come back. Ballo will have the chance to potentially cut it down to a 7. Group D fixture. The final game of this group. Of course, the later game coming up. Well, it's going to be. We also have the opening ceremony of the 2025 FIBA AfroBasket, so that's going to be very exciting to watch. But, Coach, I've been hearing it. This arena can be absolutely electrifying.
Well, I've been lucky enough to be a part of some big games here, and the fans certainly will show up. And the national team does a great job of playing off that energy. So it should be a really fun, exciting game to watch tonight.
Well, everything is not. You got to anticipate he's going to try to obviously make both free throws. And once you made both free throws, I mean, that stage, do you pick up man-to-man? Do you pick up full-court zone? I mean, what do you do? Well,
you know, I'm actually surprised to see the timeout here from Mali. You know, I think you'd want to save those to advance the ball, save time that way. I would expect Egypt actually to use one of their timeouts if there's a made free throw. Try to advance the ball where it's a little bit safer if you turn it over. You know, obviously right now it's the quick turnover and scores that would hurt them. But certainly if they don't use that timeout, Coach is drawing up how he wants their inbound to look, making sure they get it into the hands of either Gindi or Amin.
Well, it said 5:42 left. It's actually 54.2 seconds left during the fourth quarter. Egypt currently leading by 9 points. Remember, both these two teams will have to play both Uganda and Senegal here in Group D. The other games going on at the 2025 FIBA AfroBasket taking place in Namibia, Angola, the other venue. Ballo missed the first free throw.
Well, and if you're Mali, you want to have players in yeah, there you go. You want players in offensive rebounding positions in case Ballo misses this.
Well, at least cut it down to an 8-point ball game. Unable to make it both. Amin comes up with it. No foul call. The foul has been called. Of course, Egypt happy to take their time. They'll go to the free throw line, looking to extend this one.
Yeah, I think if you're Mali, you have to look to trap first. So playing the early foul game, especially when Amin is the ball handler, is going to be a tough way to come back.
I tell you what's going to be a fun matchup, because I think he's been brilliant today, coping and handling the pressure at bay from these backcourt players. But how's that going to be when you go up against Jean-Jacques Boissy and Branco Badio of Senegal?
Well, I'm sure Senegal is watching this and knowing going into their matchup that they have to find a way to make somebody besides Amin and Gindi beat them on the offensive end.
Well, Haidara going for a quick three. This one's up. Front eye, can't get it. They're telling him to throw it quick. Another foul has been committed. And another trip to the free throw line. And, you know, Coach, is it really necessary for Mali to keep fouling him? Because, you know, points difference could be crucial come the end. Because, you know, depending how these two teams match up with either Uganda or Senegal, you don't want to be in a case where you're chasing third place.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think that's something Coach Ditko needs to consider at this stage. You know, I think even the first one on Amin, rather have seen a trap versus the foul. And certainly at this stage, I think your only thinking is point differential, probably the game out of hand.
Both free throws made. Egypt's lead has been extended. Jame trying to go quickly. Johnny will go for a quick one. Balo getting the offensive rebound. As now Canute. Well, Balo did take 1-3 in the first half. Good hands by Anas. Well, that might just do it. Hamid patiently waited for the foul. Egypt on their way for their first victory. And I think both players have now accepted. Well, Egypt keeps scoring. Why not improve the points difference? And there you have it. Egypt win their opening game of Group D here at the 2025 FIBA AfroBasket. Mali at times showed great perseverance. They started the second half very well. They went on an 11-0 run in the fourth quarter. But coach, the Egyptians, they're in quest for a 6th FIBA AfroBasket championship.
Well, great response from Egypt. You know, Mali's ball pressure made things interesting there. And Egypt going to the zone, great move, I think, from Coach El Kardani, but also the offense then finding their rhythm, the normal suspects stepping up for them with Amin and Gindi down the stretch.
Well, there you have it. One final game coming up here in this FIBA AfroBasket on the opening day. And, well, just say it again, I've seen it live many times on television, but it is going to be an absolutely electric atmosphere when Angola take on Libya. That is going to be a crucial opener for Group C, and that will tip off local time at 7 p.m. Remember, we do have the opening ceremony here at the 2025 FIBA AfroBasket. That will take place shortly before the tip-off. But a big congratulations to Egypt. They win, and they do it in magnificent fashion. Well, we'll take a look at the key stats here from this game. Of course, Egypt shot the ball 4 out of 6 from the three-point line in the first quarter, missed 9 consecutively from then on to the end of the first half, but then hit some big ones in the second half. And coach, it was that zone defense from Egypt that really told this story.
Yeah, I think that really was it. Mali able to create a lot of momentum with their ball pressure, and Egypt switching to the zone really threw them off with their offense. You know, I don't know that Mali ever really came up with the solution against that. And as they continued to get stops, then their offense found a little bit of a rhythm, enough for Gindi and Amin to get loose there down the stretch of the game.
Well, the Egyptians, they had a lot of success, of course, supporting the paint. What I find interesting, Mali with 38 rebounds only had 12 offensive boards. The Egyptians, 45 rebounds, and had 1 less offensive rebound than them. But look at these stats: 9 3-point field goals. Huge difference in this game, of course, where Egypt were magnificent. And then you look at the rebound count. Both teams with 13 assists apiece. But, well, could the Egyptians be at the podium, coach?
You know, I think it's going to be interesting. I think for them, definitely going to depend on matchups. I think there's certain teams that can give them problems. But what they do probably better than any team here is execute half-court offense. So you saw that on display in today's game. They've got a great mix of experience and youth. And I think that experience shined through when the pressure started to come up from Mali.
Well, the teams head to the dressing room. Remember, we do have the post-game press conference, which you can watch live. Well, the post-game press conference will take place on FIBA's official YouTube platform. That will be streamed live later on. You'll get to hear with both coaches and a player from each team. But here are some of the key highlights. Gardner, big 3 in the corner. Because that didn't extend it, but this, in my mind, maybe second best moment of the game.
Yeah, I think Anas gets the top 2 highlights. I'm sure we'll see the lob from the first half, but you see the length and athleticism on display there.
Some action there from Gandhi. Just dancing on the floor here in Angola.
Gandhi doing what he does, getting to that left hand. He's got such a great touch around the rim, and really having his way with the Mali defense in this game.
So Balo came back in late in the third quarter. It was the 11-0 run from Mali. You thought. Free throw, the tip it. Big point in this game. That was in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, you know, I really would love to get an explanation because it did. There was a long delay, kind of changed the feel of the game for Mali. Obviously, Egypt went on a run to close it out from there.
Well, he was that leading scorer tonight with 21. Egypt win their opening game. because it's been a very long time since they won the FIBA AfroBasket. But it's all over. Mali yet still to play both Uganda and Senegal here in Group D. But basketball fans, indeed, one final game. The winningest team, the 11-time champions, Angola, will host Libya. That's live in just over 2 hours. For now, Josh Ben and Will Voigt. We'll see you soon for the next game.